Hello everybody, this is going to be another one of those Timey Wimey videos. It's the 31st of May today, but by the time you see this video we'll be at the end of the year somewhere, maybe even into 2022. The rate things are going, I seem to have a backlog of videos, but that's good. That's better than not having any material, I guess. My end goal for this tree is to have it at around 3 or even 4 feet tall. At present it's about 2.5 feet tall, I guess, and yeah, I want to make it into one of my largest bonsai. I think birch have such beautiful trunks, although this isn't a silver birch, it's a downy birch, but they just have such beautiful trunks. I want to have a nice big tree with a really gorgeous trunk on it. So what am I doing? Well, for now I'm going to be taking off some growths I don't want, cleaning up the pot a little bit, and that's about it. So the problem with having these tall bonsai is getting them all on screen all at once. So I'm going to move you in and we'll look at the base of the trunk, give that a bit of a clean up. The tree is growing rapidly and well, and I've got a lot of growth coming from, you know, right down here at the base, which I don't want. I don't want to have too many branches at this low point. With a tree of, say, 4 feet tall, I would want, you know, the lower, well, most of this to be bare trunk, although it might be useful in long term to fatten the trunk. Yeah, I've got a lot of scars already, which I'd rather not have any more. So and the trunk is fattening up quite nicely on its own. What I do want to do is try and get rid of some of this moss that's creeping in, threatening to cover up this Nabari. And I know a couple of people commented that I should have got rid of this crossing branch and some of these other crossing roots, but I just like them. I think it's characterful, and at the risk of repeating myself, it's me who's got to look at it every day. So I'm keeping it the way it makes me happy. So just nylon brush, try and get rid of some of this moss that's taking over. In fact, the nylon brush isn't going to be enough. I've got a little slightly firmer wire brush, and just try and get rid of some of that moss. It doesn't do good sitting on the bark of the tree, and I don't like the aesthetics of it, so that's 2 reasons it's got to go. And I shall do this periodically as it builds up, and then next winter I'll get a lot of it over winter, and I'll have to try and sort it again, but keep plugging away. I've also said in the past that if I only had 1 or 2 trees, I think I would get bored, because, you know, I always want to be doing something with the trees. So either I would overwork them to death, or I'd get bored because I'd go out to work on the trees and I'd done everything to the tree and I'd struggle waiting. But because I've got such a lot of trees, there's always one that needs something doing to it, even if it's just a little bit of cleanup like this. So there you go. Okay, so that's fine, that's enough for now. The base of this tree is, I'm really happy with, and as they say, it's not conventional, but what are you gonna do? If you like it, you like it. Let me know what you think. So we have a slightly ugly transition here where it had its initial chop. but it's beginning to fill in now, and that'll improve year upon year. Down here where I chopped it again, it's looking slightly better, and we have a slightly better transition, which I'm glad about. But if we move it back to the front, I've got essentially 3 growths coming out of here. I want to keep one to help heal that scar, but I don't want to have all this coming out from the front, so I'm just chopping it back a little. Pinch that one off. This one I'm just going to let grow, and as I say, that'll help heal that scar a little bit. And then I'm going to leave this central leader, but I'm just going to pinch out the growing tips on these 2 branches here, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on this wire. It's not cutting in yet, but it's not going to be much longer. So that's it for today, 31st of May 21. It's the 12th of July now, and the tree's reached its 4-foot height quite happily there, and I'm going to have to do something about these little suckers that keep coming up at the base there. So let's zoom in and do that first of all before we do anything else. Okay, one thing that's useful to know with suckers is that they often have a cluster of buds right at the base, so if you cut them off flush with the trunk, you will usually get a bunch of these little side buds. Focus, camera, focus. Will pop out, whereas if you tear them off, you take those buds with you. So I'm going to do that. Does leave a bit of a hole, but the tree will close out quite quickly this time of year, and as we say, yeah, there's a number of buds just there waiting to come out, so we'll just tear those off, get rid of those. Some of these weeds got in. Blooming things. Anyway, so if we go back up the trunk, so going up the trunk, we've got an issue here. I don't know whether one of the big fat pigeons that regularly visits my garden has tried to sit on this branch. Something has snapped it off almost all the way, so we'll get rid of that, and then we're just going to give the top branches a bit of a trim. Ideally, we'd have a few more branches popping up in this section, which we haven't at the moment, but what I'm going to be doing is just pruning back some of these so that we'll encourage a bit more back budding. And the tree, as I say, is probably about as tall as I want it now, so I'm going to cut it back to this shoot. I'm going to leave a section there, and I'm going to remove this piece of wire from where it was last chopped, so that's already done its job. I'll move it up one. I'm just trying to keep some movement and taper, so So I'm going to take that piece and bend that over like so. So that shoot is now growing upwards, and then I can cut this little piece off. Then I can cut this little piece off at a later date. It's the 26th of July, and the birch is looking a little bit leggy, but I'm hoping to get some branching a little bit lower down at some point over the next few years, and I'm just going to trim some of the top, just pinch out the growing tips, because it's getting a little bit long up there as well. So if we quickly run up from the base, and gonna just start pinching out some of these tips. I'm already getting some sub-branching coming, so pinch those out as well. At some point over the winter I will probably do a more structural prune of some of these branches, but you can see where hopefully you can see where the leader is now taken upright quite nicely. I don't think that's showing up on camera well, but we'll come to that. So just nipping it out, and a bit at the back there as well. I'm going to take this branch back to there. That allows you to see where I wired this leader up quite nicely here, and I'm actually going to nip the growing tip out again, just there, and hopefully the tree will continue its process of ramifying. It's the 28th of November, and the tree is pretty much gone into dormancy. It's still reaching for the sky, and I just want to do some tidying up now, rather than in the spring, because birches are prone to bleeding. You can prune them as the sap is rising, and I actually want to bring this down in height a little more. I'm not entirely happy with the junction in the middle, just there where it was chopped before, and again there. I think if I bring the height down a little bit, I can encourage some more growth in that portion, and also more branching down below. Let's move in a little closer. Okay, so the junction here is still a little bit abrupt. There's a fairly straight piece, and then this part of the tree hasn't really caught up, and then it was chopped again here, and again that's a slightly more smooth transition, which I'm a bit happier with. But if I give the tree a bit of a turn to the back, then you can see that although the scars are rolling in now, still got a bit of filling over to do. But yeah, I'm going to bring the height down, so let's do that first of all, and then we can work the rest from there. Okay, so I think this will be my new leader. So I'm going to do this left-handed, so you can see I'm going to chop the top thusly. And that brings it back down to about the 3 foot mark, and then a little bit of wire. That will, little chop there. Little piece of wire, and there's my loo picks for next spring. It's probably a bit overkill, this piece of wire, but it's a piece I've got to hand. and bigger will hold it and will be less likely to scar in. Okay, so this is the new apex, and now I'm going to remove a lot of the side branching that I don't want. Again, doing it now will lessen any bleeding, and also hopefully this chop in general will promote some branching in this area, which I think would be nice if I had some branching starting a little bit lower. So let's move the camera so you can see what I'm saying. Okay, so I got carried away and bit the bullet and went for it, and I've removed all of the branches. I'm doing it now so that they won't bleed, and yeah, it now is just a dead straight trunk. Well, not dead straight, it's got some interesting bits of movement, and I think shortening this makes this piece look less boom handly. I'm hoping that now I'll get some more back butting in this area, because it would be nice to have some branches a little bit lower than I had before. I'm going to try and keep the top at this kind of height, which is maybe 3.5 feet, maybe another 6 inches on the top, so a 4-foot tree. The trunk is birch now. I think we have some interesting root at the base. Let's give you a look at that. Move the camera back so you can see the whole thing. Hopefully that gives it a good setup for next year, and we'll get some branches on this thing and begin developing it into something pretty. At the moment I guess it's a boom handle in a pot, although at least it has the benefits of taper, which a boom handle doesn't. We'll leave it. Thank you so much for watching. Do the YouTube stuff, you know, the liking, the subscribing, the commenting. Tell me what you think. But most of all, please do take care of yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.